Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel again. So today I am just going to share with you a few fails. Now that doesn't mean these won't work for somebody else, just for me they didn't cut it. So I'll start in the order of how I apply makeup. So I'm going to start with a few primers here. So I have two primers. So the first one is the Morphe Revitalizer primer. And like this one, I don't know. It's a very light texture, but I just feel like it just didn't do anything. I felt like it just sunk into the skin. It moisturized, but I just don't feel like it did anything to make my foundation last longer or to keep it from getting oily or to keep it hydrated. It just, like I said, didn't do anything. Feels good, but and then this one is the Catrice Prime and Fine, which I had bought because it was supposed to be a dupe for the Tatcha, and it's not bad, but I do own several like pore filling, and I feel like this one just does the least. I don't know. It's kind of silicone-y feeling. It's just not my favorite, and not one I'll probably reach for anymore. So next, I do have a couple foundations. The first one is this NYX Bear With Me. And I like this one a little bit, but just, I feel like it didn't do a whole lot. Yes, it is a skin tint. Or a tinted skin veil. It's not supposed to be a foundation. However, I did just get the ColourPop one, and I feel like that just does so much more. And it really holds really well, where this one just kind of, I mean, it doesn't look like there's any coverage at all. I mean, it literally just seems like it's just a little bit of a slightly tinted moisturizer. And for my combo skin, I need something a little bit better than that. And then next, I have one that I think has had a lot of positive and negative reviews, and I did like this for a while. This is the Bounce foundation from Beauty Blender, and I liked it at first. I used it for a couple weeks, and then it just started acting weird with my skin. So I don't know if it was just my skin or what. I've tried it several times with my skin in several different, stages. When it's more hydrated and when it's more dry, and I keep trying it and it just is not performing like it did at first. It's kind of breaking up, so I don't know if it just went bad really quick and probably is expired, but I held on to it because I wanted to save it for this video, because even before then, it just, after those first few initial times I wore it, it just didn't do what I thought it would. So that one is a fail for me. For concealers, I have two. One is actually a very popular one, and it's the e.l.f. 16 Hour Wear Camo Concealer. And again, this one, it's not that it's a bad concealer, but for my skin, it seems too heavy, and I'm a full coverage lover. Like, I love full coverage foundation, concealer, powder. I want to be cake face. But this one, it was so heavy, and it just really seemed to amplify my fine lines under my eyes, and I just didn't like that. So it works really well as an eye primer though, so I'll probably hold on to it and use it for that. And next I have this one from Catrice. It's their One Drop Coverage Concealer. It's a weightless concealer, and it says full coverage and sweat proof, and it has all these like wonderful things about it, that it has hyaluron in it. And I don't know, when I used it, I just don't feel like it really did do anything. Like, it didn't have full coverage. It was very, very light coverage, and it's a very liquidy consistency. I love the concealer, or not the concealer, I love the foundation that they have, but like, this concealer just doesn't really, I don't know. Maybe if I play with it more. It's, like I said, it's not terrible, but it's not my favorite. So not one to keep. All right, so next I have a couple of powders. Well, I have a powder, but this is the Becca Hydra Mist. And again, this is one that I really, really liked at first. But after like 3 or 4 times, it just didn't, it started doing some weird stuff to my skin. So it's the Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder. And I don't know, it's supposed to keep cold, and I feel like it was after about a week or 2, no, I'm sorry, it was about 3 weeks after I got it and opened it that it just didn't get cold anymore. So that kind of defeated that whole purpose. So for bronzers, I have 2, and this is actually a bronzer slash powder. And this is the Marc Jacobs Instamark Hi-Fi Filter in 60. And I wanted to love the bronzer because I love their Omega bronzer. And this one, not so much. It breaks up, it's very patchy on me. I didn't like the color. It was kind of, it didn't know if it wanted to be cool or warm. And it just didn't, it wasn't flattering on my skin tone. So maybe somebody else has had better luck, but I just, not a fan. Another bronzer that I was surprised I didn't like was the NARS Talia, and it's a, let me get this out. It's a dual bronzer. It's this one right here. And again, this one, it just wasn't what I hoped. It wasn't the right color. It was very patchy again, and just didn't go on as smooth and flawlessly as a lot of some of my other ones. And I've started to get more picky with my bronzers because I do have a few that I absolutely love. A couple are from the drugstore, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to pay a high price tag for something that just doesn't work for me when I have my Milani bronzer that's $12 and is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Now with blushes, these I was really sad didn't work because they're so pretty, and they are the L'Oreal Blush Please, and I have it in Blushin' in Riviera and Blushin' in Saint Tropez. And these are both really pretty, but they go on very patchy. They don't work as well as I would hope they would, because the colors are stunning. But yeah, it just, this one you can tell I've tried quite a few times, and this was the Blushin' in Saint Tropez, and it just wouldn't, I could not get it to work. So they're probably ones I'll pass on to my daughter and let her play with because they are very, very light, and so you don't see a whole lot of them, and I don't let her wear a whole lot of makeup or very often, but stuff like this, when she's playing around with it, doesn't hurt. I only have one highlighter, and it's not that this one doesn't work and that it's not pretty, it's not what I personally like, and this is the Pretty Vulgar and Shimmering Swan. And it is a pretty color, it's just not as blinding or as shimmery, it's a little more muted. So if you're wanting a natural glow, which is why I've kept this on hand, because if I'm doing like a natural look, it really is just a very soft, kind of diffused highlight. So for that it works, but on most days I'm like, give me shiny, make me look like a disco ball, I want to sparkle. And this one just doesn't do it for me. Okay, so for palettes, I have 3. 2 of these I've mentioned in a previous video. And again, they're ones I've worked with, and maybe you guys can make them work better, but I have not had luck. One is this Becca, let's see, there it is. And this is the Pearl Glow Shimmering Eye Palette. And these colors are so pretty. I know they're muted and kind of meh, but there's like 2 really pretty duochromes, these ones right here, that I was just obsessed with. I like the cool gray tones in there, even like that cooler pink, and I just cannot get this to work. It just comes off so light, so pale, not a lot of pigment, and which, I mean, it's not bad, it's not the worst palette I've used, but for the price point and for it being Becca, I had a lot higher expectation. You know, it has the quality of a drugstore palette, which again, there's some really amazing drugstore eyeshadow palettes, but this is one of those like, okay, yeah, it was 10 bucks. I can expect that, but when it's a $40, $50 palette, you're expecting $40, $50 quality, and this just did not have that. Another one that was kind of similar to that, which I've also mentioned before, is this Neon by Huda Beauty in the green one. And this one, I just feel like it's so hard. Like this shade right here, I can't ever, it feels more like an eye topper. There's just not a lot of pigment there. And it's so hard to get some off of it. Like I'm always feeling like I'm scraping them. Some of them are more chunky. It just, that one was definitely a disappointment. And this is the last palette I have to talk about today. It is the Tarteist Pro Remix. And this one I bought, I thought about it, didn't want to buy it, kept thinking about it, wanted to buy it, and finally just broke down and bought it. And this is it. And there's nothing wrong with this palette really. It performs really well, like all Tarte palettes. It smells really good. But when it came down to it, I just really didn't use this as much as I thought I would. I don't feel like the color story really grabs me like I thought it was. I don't know, it looked a lot different swatched and everything, and it was definitely an impulse buy. But again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the same quality. It performs the same as all of Tarte's palettes, in my opinion. The eyeshadows are really creamy and buttery, but just not one I reach for. And so for lips, I have this Steve Laurent pencil, and this is in the shade Chic, which it's very dry and very crumbly, and it's not smooth at all. So it's very hard to work with. And with my lips being as dry as they are, it's just not a good one. And for lips, I have this Snow Melt Lip Powder by Wet n Wild, which I saw this. I haven't seen it at very many, and this is in the shade Snowed In, and I was so excited because I thought it was going to be super cool. I don't know. It's not bad. I mean, it's smooth and everything, but it's weird. It's wet, but it's not wet, and parts of it are wet, and the whole thing doesn't go on evenly as far as it being wet in some spots and not wet in others, and it's messy. And I mean, if you have the time to work with it, it's probably worth it and you'll probably like it, but I just am not a fan of the lip powders. I feel like if I don't get them defined enough, like the top will just kind of puff out. Like it doesn't stay where I want it to stay ever. And I've worn it several times. I feel like it just kind of goes all over the place. It's just messy, very messy. So I really don't have any eyeliners for you guys, but I do have one mascara, and this is the Hank & Henry, which because it is an indie brand, I wanted to love it. And it's like a dual-sided, okay, it's the Slick With It Mascara Duo in the shade Cloud. Now, what I don't like about it is the regular end. I feel like, and I just feel like it's very clumpy and it makes my lashes look very goopy, and the formula is really not that great. I noticed after wearing it, it kind of would flake off. It dried up really weird and made my eyes really dry. However, the one thing it's one forgiving factor is this little end right here. I love these tiny ones, especially for the bottom lashes. But again, the formula itself just wasn't my favorite. So this is not one I will be reaching for and keeping around. So for setting sprays, I have one, and this is the Algenist Splash Hydrating Setting Mist. And this is just a tiny one, but I feel like this one just made me look so greasy, which, I mean, it's probably great for someone who has really, really dry skin, but for me, it was just, it was not good. So that is it. I don't really have any tools that I don't like. If I did, I've already kind of gotten rid of them, but for now, that is all my dislikes at the moment. I'm sure once I get some more makeup in, I'll find more things I don't like, because everybody has makeup that they aren't a fan of. And again, if you liked these products, no hate. It's just personally, they did not work well for me. It's just my personal preference. And again, some of them, it's not that they don't work well. I just didn't like them. So if you guys have any that you dislike that you want me to try, and I'd love to do a video trying out products that you guys hate and see how they work for me. Who knows, maybe it'll be an opposites kind of thing. But yeah, if y'all haven't already heard about my giveaway that I'm hosting, I do have a lot of great products in it. I have an eyeshadow palette, a single eyeshadow, a couple of brushes from Pure Cosmetics. I've got lashes, skincare, all kinds of great stuff, eyeliner, mascara. So definitely enter by subscribing and ringing the little bell. And once I hit 100 subscribers, then I will be doing the giveaway and giving it to one lucky subscriber. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see y'all later. Bye.